Okay, everyone. Hello. We will start our seminar very much on time. Thank you all for being here, and welcome to today's session where we will cover the future CFO. We want to know how you, as a financial leader, can use AI and automation to streamline the processes inside your company. My name is Marcia Bardawil. I'm a product marketer here at Dost, and I will be your moderator today. So before we get started, I would like to set the scene a little bit, no? As we know, the world of finance is changing faster than ever. The pace is unprecedented. And the role of the CFO is very much transforming with it, no? I think your role is no longer about just keeping control, reporting, or keeping the books clean. It's a lot more focused in inspiring your team, the financial visibility that you bring to your company. And I think that most importantly, it's that strategic impact that you're having, no, aligning with the company's vision. And that's exactly where technology, especially AI and automation, it's reshaping how these financial leaders use that information. So to dive deeper into this conversation, I'm thrilled to be joined by two fantastic AI leaders and guests. So we have first Wouter Born, who's a general partner at Born Capital. He's also the founder of FinStory AI. It's an AI that turns numbers into stories, into presentation. And he's also the author of the CFO's Office newsletter. So welcome, Wouter. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Marcia. Yeah, I basically do three things that I think is relevant for our audience. You mentioned all three, but let me just elaborate a little more on them. I I run a fund, a venture capital fund, exclusively investing in technology for the office of the CFO. We have 18 portfolio companies, among one of them is Dost, of course. And we right now, in the last 2 years, we're exclusively investing in AI for the office of the CFO. So I talk to a lot of CFOs, I talk to a lot of founders, and I'm kind of a full-time thinker of how AI will disrupt the office of the CFO. Because I'm thinking about it anyway, I'm also writing about it in a newsletter called CFO Office.io, if you want to look it up. AI CFO Office, that's kind of how we call it today. We talk on a weekly basis on every new development that happens in the world of AI and how it's applicable for CFOs and finance leaders. And then third, you mentioned I'm a founder of FinStory, FinStory.ai, a company where we basically take your raw financials and turn it into board-ready presentations, interactive. So really the last mile of your financial reporting. Yeah, very excited to be here. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we also have Adam Barbera, who is the CEO and co-founder of Dost, that is a little bit closer to home. And Dost is an AI-powered platform that automates accounts payables and accounts receivables. And welcome, Adam. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Mafia, and glad to be here together with Wouter today. Just a few things from my end. So we've been in this journey for quite some time already, and we have seen how how companies were facing automation and improving their internal processes pre-ChatGPT and after ChatGPT appeared, right? And this has been unbelievable, the change that is actually happening. And we are glad that we can actually help customers with those and leveraging AI for their financial processes. So happy to be here, and thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. So let's kick things off. I would like to start with a very simple question for each one of you. How could you each briefly describe what inspired you to work around AI and finance, and what are the shifts that you have seen regarding the role of the CFO?
Who's first?
You
Should I
can
go
go
first?
first.
Okay. Yeah. So what inspires me is really the amazing development AI is making from the moment I think the whole world was 3 years ago, caught by surprise when ChatGPT 3.5 came out. It was able to write amazing things, and it was beyond imagination. All of a sudden, AI was real. But from there, you immediately start looking, okay, what are the strengths of this technology? And while AI was quickly developing, because I think we've seen an improvement in the quality of the AI output, but also we start to realize more, okay, what can this do for general business functions, but specifically the finance function. And it's really good at communication. It's really good at reading a lot of data, and that inspires me on a daily basis about thinking, okay, how can you use this kind of intelligence to automate things, but even better, create a strategic outcome. That long intro for like talking about what the future of the CFO should look like. I think the CFOs have been spending a lot of time on more the hygiene of their finance function. Getting numbers right. A lot of calls about where does this cost come from and why doesn't it align these two entities. And I think with AI we can take a lot of that burden away, and the CFO can grow into a more strategic function where the CFO has time to actually call his counterparts in the business and advise them, become an internal banker or an internal advisor of how to get a good ROI on a project, be more outward facing to investors. He will just free up time and have less of the administrative burden because AI will take care of bit by bit more and more of that.
Yeah, I think in terms of the role of the CFO, as Walter was saying, so I can just echo what he was basically putting on the table. What we are seeing more and more is that CFOs and financial leaders are more inclined to trust AI and to actually leverage AI and use tools such as Story to actually get ready for board presentations, for instance, right? So this is changing, and the mindset is changing, and because it's evolving very, very fast. And it inspired me, technology itself, right? So I've been for a long time in technology and enterprise software, selling ERPs and some other software. And when I met Akash at a previous employer, and we were discussing about potential use of AI, and that was definitely pre-ChatGPT. We were thinking about what we would call a digital coworker, which essentially you could say nowadays is an AI agent, right? And I asked my guys, hey, can we do this? And then he said, yeah, I think we can. And then we started to work on it, and here we are today, right? ChatGPT came in, and then everything just it started to evolve super quick, very, very fast. So technology inspires me every single day, and the evolution of AI is just amazing. So it's a true revolution. I think we're just getting started, and this is gonna be massive.
Yeah, these are definitely really exciting times.
I guess the thing that a lot of these AI leaders like Sam Altman always says, like the models are never going to be as stupid as now. They're always from here. It's only improvement. So I think if you look at it in that way, what's already possible, but what's coming, it's very exciting.
So, Wouter, you have written extensively about how finance is shifting from this control to strategy. You have already started covering a lot of these points, but in your view, what is it that defines this future CFO? What kind of cases have you seen maybe where the role changes drastically?
Yeah, well, like I kind of talked about this in my previous point. The CFO will change to a more strategic role, but what really enables that is, think about it, the CFO being empowered by AI, being able the way I kind of see it is, for example, if you look at FP&A, I think that's an interesting function because there's a lot of strategic thinking happening there. A traditional FP&A system was just rolling up some numbers and building a forecast. Now, actually, FP&A systems in the future can hold unstructured data, calls, transcripts of meetings, planning documents. So a CFO could, before he takes a decision, he could be empowered by a full knowledge by corporate memory, for example, where he could just ask like, hey, before I take the decision, what could be the impact? And that AI would then just explain him, okay, well, we tried something like this 2 years ago, like we wanted to increase prices, but it didn't play out well on this and this, but now it might work because this has changed. Like that level of empowerment is going to be completely new. So, I think in the future CFO will use an AI even when we don't know really how devices, computers are going to change with AI, whether we just hear AI talk in our ears or in our smart glasses or whatever. But when he's in a conversation, he will be empowered by AI, and I think that's might be a futuristic view, but I think this is going to come really quickly, and it's going to be really strategic and beyond FP&A. This is not just an FP&A thing, but in every function of finance, there's strategic wins for a company. If you like in your accounts payable, accounts receivable, you can get great wins in working capital. Because if you get paid faster and you pay at the right moment with your own invoices, you improve your working capital position, and that's an AI could really help you there, and really empower a finance team to do this optimized. So yeah, long answer.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right here, brother. One of the things that could potentially happen, you get all the information plugged into AI. You get your supplier invoices, your customer invoices, your cash flow statements, all in that mix, and then you can actually get recommendations on how to improve your cash flow, and then maybe you would need to access financing or any sort of banking or financial product to help you actually streamline your cash flow and your cash position. And these are going to be these are already being done by AI, but that's definitely some of the use cases that we will see more and more.
Definitely.
But that leads me exactly to the next question that is more directed to Adam. You're working very closely with hundreds of finance teams and at Dost, no? What are other changes? You mentioned a few, but what are some other changes that you're seeing in the ways that CFOs are now approaching technology and automation?
I think there are two ways to look at this. So the modern ones, or the more fast forward, tech savvy, if you want to call them. So these are more, so they are in a position where they are starting to understand that technology is there for helping them, rather than it's something that that we need, right? So it's not this kind of people or companies that they are like, well, there's a new technology out there. We need to have this, right? But the right ones are actually considering and answering why, where, and how, and when, right? Because at this point in time, in your specific company, in your specific industry use case, AI might help you or might not. So this is what we're seeing, that this modern, let's call it modern CFOs, because they are not future CFOs yet, but let's call it modern CFOs, they already know that they first need to understand where they are, and then technology is an enabler that will help them to get where they want to go, and that's very important. That's it's one of the most important shifts and change of mindsets that really need to happen for everybody to actually embrace and implement AI.
That is a perfect introduction for the next question. So it's now let's talk about a little bit of an automation. No? I'm sure Wouter and Adam, you see this all the time. Every CFO says, I mean, they're sold on AI. They want technology. They want to streamline processes. But where would you recommend them to start?
Sure. I think it's a journey. It's not something where all of a sudden you say, okay, today we have a traditional finance function, and tomorrow we have an autonomous finance function where AI agents do all your work. First of all, where to start? I think, you have to start where it hurts most. Typically, I see a lot of vendors building AI chatbots that will give you strategic advice or something like that. Like, I don't think that's what's hurting most. Right now, what hurting most with most companies is data quality. You need to have things reconciled, make sure data is mapped in the right way so it is aligning over your different companies. You use the same definitions. Like, data quality is a really big problem. I think AI can really help there in cleaning your data, asking questions to business users like, hey, well, how, or we're missing a budget for your products. You just give us the total, but not like those typical things happen a lot in companies. And I think this is one of the best things to start with, whether it's AI or just automation, but clean your data, like, because it's going to be a garbage in, garbage out process. If you don't have the right data, AI won't be able to take the right decision. And the second thing is probably you want a lot of data, a lot more than you record, like than you have today. Maybe today most companies have some, well, they have great accounting systems, but that's about it. Like, it's good to actually start thinking in much more unstructured data. Like, one thing I always recommend people is to use a tool like, if you use like online meetings, I think Zoom has like a transcript function, but I use Fireflies to keep all these transcripts together, because that will give you a lot of unstructured data, what happened in meetings, and what, of course, you have to look into data privacy and stuff like that. But start thinking about, like, in 18 months from now, we'll have brilliant AI tools that can do a lot if they have the right data. You want to start gathering that data right now and cleaning up your data. And then, of course, what else to start with is just try to build a culture of not resisting to AI, but I can talk a little more about it because I see it a lot on my newsletter, on my LinkedIn posts. There's always a lot of reasons for people to not trust it, to not do it, to not work with AI. But I think we know it's not perfect yet. It makes mistakes, it can hallucinate. Those are all problems. But you wanna start experimenting with it, learning from it, building a culture of innovation. One thing I see a lot in companies is they organize hackathons. So with the finance team and some engineers, let's just tackle a problem. Let's build something and learn from it. We don't need to use it afterwards, but we can at least do a lot of learning. I think that's really important in this phase. And if you are gonna use an AI tool within finance, look at something that really gives you a good ROI, and else, just do prototypes of things. Like, doesn't matter if they fail, but they give great insights. But if you are, let's say, really going to work with a vendor that offers an AI solution like Dost, it's really important to look at it. Okay, what benefit? We just don't want to implement AI for AI because it's cool and everyone wants it. Just really look at, okay, what does this AI bring me? What's the ROI of this solution?
So
I think
absolutely.
the data quality that you mentioned, I think it's key, right? Because data quality can come from human errors, it can come from just, you said, garbage in, garbage out. So here there's an important point that we are seeing and that we are trying to help customers to actually have better data. It's actually their own legacy systems, right? So they might have a list of cost centers, a list of GL accounts in their ERPs, but actually they may have hundreds and they only use 20, right? And then when you synchronize the system, you get all this information and into those, and it's actually it's actually corrupting data, right? Because you don't need it, because you're not going to use it, because you started to create fields here and there, and this is creating a lot of noise. So there are simple use cases that we're actually putting in place, and customers they don't even know, right? Which is, right, you've got all this data. Now we synchronize it, and by leveraging AI, we actually make it Dost ready data, right? So we don't have to have all the data that you're actually sending to us because you don't need it and we don't need it, right? And this is very important. And people need to understand that data quality is the most important thing, because when you then want to ask these questions to AI and these recommendations that Wouter was saying, you will get the right answers. Otherwise, you will get wrong answers or mixed up, or even they just actually can made up stuff, right? And then you will blame AI, and then you could create this resistance, right? So it's the perfect excuse to actually go against it, right? So it's very important to tackle one by one and step by step where are your biggest pain points, and start using it when it really can help you with 80% of the processes or the use case, and this 20% will probably have to still do something manually, but this 80% will be almost automated. It will be AI ready, and you could actually benefit for that. And then the edge cases, you will eventually tackle them as you go and as you keep working with AI. And this 80% will probably improve to 90, and then eventually 95, and then eventually close to 100%. Because I don't think that nowadays, maybe in the future, but nowadays you cannot automate 100% of anything.
No, I agree. I guess when you ask, like, if you give an AI a large data file and you ask it to answer like some questions or do something like clean up my something, it might be, like, to your point, like 80% right. I think to look at AI implementation, like the best AI will ask questions, it will flag things, and it will challenge the user based on it. So actually, data improvement doesn't have to be an AI fixing it for you, but could be something much more of indicating, okay, where do we see data quality issues, and is there a way AI can communicate really well, how we could contact the business user and ping that user on like, hey, what's going on here? So I think a lot of people expect from AI to be a brilliant center that does everything. I look more at it. AI is really good at coding, so it can automate processes, and it can actually ask really good questions. So that together could get you maybe to the 100% with a human involved. Like there's going to be human in the loop for a long time.
Yeah.
So Adam, you were just mentioning some really interesting quick wins that you can apply when it comes to automating accounts payable. Are there other quick wins that maybe come to your head, or maybe to phrase it even differently? Have you, both Adam or Wouter, flagged which are those processes that still waste the most human potential when it comes to in finance teams today?
Well, I think there are a lot of financial processes that they still require a lot of manual intervention, manual human intervention. But with the help of AI, you can really streamline them close to 100%. You've got, Wouter mentioned FP&A, you've got accounts payable, you've got treasury, cash flow. So again, it's a little bit coming back to the point where what is your biggest pain, right? It depends on the type of business that you're in and the type of the industry you're in, how you're operating. If you are in one country, multiple countries, globally, multi-currency, whatever is your scenario, you will face more issues or a bigger pain in one of the different use cases, right? For instance, if you are a big, large manufacturing company and you have production plants across Europe, you probably have a lot of issues in accounts payable for sure, because you will have a lot of suppliers, you will have a lot of purchases, and then streamlining accounts payable will be a priority for you, right? Because you want to be paying on time, and you want to be having a really good relationship with your suppliers, because you want to deliver, your products to your customers on time, right? But at the same time, cash flow is very important for you, right? Because you want to be able to get paid on time so you can actually pay your suppliers. Otherwise, you have to go to financing, right? So this is a balance, and it's kind of a trade-off that you have to think of and really decide where to go first, which is the most, maybe the quick win, and then because sometimes the bigger pain is actually the process that it's going to take you longer. But definitely you have to start somewhere. So I think it's this kind of decisions that are actually key decisions that you really need to understand where AI is going to bring the most and the quickest impact to the business.
Yeah, I think I think accounts payable is a great example. Next to accounts payable, I would say accounts receivable is another really good one. It really impacts if you get paid on time, and the further south you go in Europe, that's typically more of becomes more of an issue. So having like an AI to look at those things and communicate in a human way with your with the people that need to pay you could be a really great win. Also, more on the think about it. A lot of people would like to contact your company, whether it's on accounts payable or accounts receivable. You can actually have AI doing 99% of those answers, of the inbound communication. I think accounting, a lot of people would expect from accounting to be one of the first things to be autonomous, but it's an interesting one because there's like a 0% tolerance for accounting errors. You cannot. I can already see the headlines of the first company that did autonomous accounting and is going bankrupt because of an accounting error or like a huge scandal. Like the trust here is really important. So you see that we're relatively early on AI-based accounting, also because AI kind of needs to take autonomous decisions, and I see typically more use cases right now on the processes that happen before accounting, like accounts payable, accounts receivable, that are more communication focused, document focused. Like in case of Dost, you guys do a great job in scanning really large invoices and getting to the point of what's going on there, and that is really helpful right now, where other things in finance are more early stage.
I love it. And since we're on the topic on AI, we can talk of as well financial insights and the analytics that we can obtain from softwares that are using our data, hopefully correctly, and good data and clean data, in order to get those numbers and insights that they're looking for in their company. So how does this kind of data in real time empower CFOs? And what would you recommend to a CFO that is scared of AI replacing them? How could they start using that data for their strategic vision for the company?
Yeah, so I guess AI, CFOs being scared of being replaced. I think let's take that out of the way. First of all, CFO is a leader, a storyteller, is a visionary. Like AI is not going to come after that anytime soon. So I think that's important. Like he's going to be empowered by AI, and his team will be smaller. I think that's another thing. Like where you would need a lot of people on certain departments, you might be able to do it with way less, or eventually alone. Like you just have a lot of agents doing everything for you. But if you look at the let's say the trust factor for AI, this is going to take time. There's a lot of reasons to think, okay, hey, my team will resist. They don't want to use these new AI tools. But I think the way to kind of bridge that culturally is to, first of all, people are afraid for things they don't know. So teach them how it works. Like AI can really good educate people by prompting, but not everyone wants to do that. So if they're not want to self-learn, create some program where they can learn about AI. And then I think another thing, how to bring it to your team, is by using certain AI tools. They will actually, no one wants to review an Excel sheet for 4 hours and flag issues. If there's an AI tool that can do that for you, and that means you have 4 hours more to actually focus on a quality outcome. I think that's a really good sell point. So maybe initially you don't even want to reduce team sizes, or this might go naturally by hiring less, but and the outcome of your teams could be drastically improved by empowering people with AI tools.
Yeah,
I love it. I don't know if Adam, you want to join in.
well, I think in terms of teams, you can already see that happening in finance and other areas, right? But teams are smaller, more efficient, and more productive, because what you could do before manually or spending time looking at a screen, now you can do with AI. And then if you are able to understand the context, and obviously you've got the background, you can really understand what AI is throwing at you and why AI is flagging XYZ error, right? Then you're really powerful because you've got someone working for you, which is the AI, and then you've got the knowledge to read what's coming out of the AI, and then you become like a super powerful and super productive person within your team. So again, coming back to the replacement topic, I think it's more about replacement. It's not going to happen. It actually is going to happen if you are not using AI and you don't know how to work with AI, right? So if you're the CFO that is actually having this resistance, then probably you're going to be replaced by a CFO who knows AI and who works with AI. That's why you're going to be replaced, right? Not because just AI is going to do the work for you. And this is what happened in the Industrial Revolution. It happened many years ago. So mechanics were replaced by mechanics were working with the robots, and that's going to be the same.
So one really big challenge that you have already commented on, and it always comes up, it is trust. So automation, they can make processes a lot faster, but if you want to focus on how CFOs keep control and accountability, when machines are doing this big part of the work, so how do you address it, no? So Wouter, from governance and risk point of view, how do you think this CFOs think they should address this trust in AI-driven processes?
Yeah, so I think first of all, governance and risk, it's really important to take these in account. I typically always like to talk more about the upside, but the reality is that you have to you don't want to be that scandal in the Financial Times one day. I think it's important to be really aware of the risks of AI, but most organizations will have like a chief data risk officer or a compliance officer or something like that. So collaborate with that person. Make sure the AI tools you use have the right certifications. Or not I wouldn't recommend to have your employees putting confidential company data into a public version of ChatGPT if it's not the enterprise or Teams edition, or into the free version of Gemini, or that's just not smart. So be aware of the risks and collaborate with the people in the teams. If you look at more at the broader trust case, like I mentioned before, it's going to be a journey. You're not going to have full trust on day one. You want to keep initially a lot of human in the loop. So if you have an AI that sends out emails, the AI should put them into your draft folder so you can review them and press send yourself. Like that's a simple way to do it. Like if you want to follow up on accounts receivable, accounts payable things, and you need to communicate, let AI actually draft the email. You save 90% of the time, but you still have a human that under his responsibility, he presses send. So I think that's a really good way to look at it. You want to do things in small steps. And I think eventually AI is kind of modeled to think like humans, that doesn't really think, but to reason like humans. So I think the more AI will get mature, the better we will be capable of having one AI controlling another AI. Like similar to how a human framework would work. You normally have someone else controlling the work of someone below it, but at a higher granularity. So will AI systems eventually work. I think we will work bottom up. So you'll see the core processes will be automated first. But then the next level is still going to be humans. But bit by bit, you'll see that we can do more with AI while AI matures.
Yeah, I think this is already somehow happening, right? These AI agents architectures are already in place, where an AI agent is actually controlling and executing other AI agents, right? So this is already happening, and at some point it will be, going further and going beyond that. The internal process of a software, right? Executing. And then we will go to this kind of a structure where you've got probably AI and then AI workers if you want, and then you've got AI managers, and then you've got maybe AI directors, whatever. And then it will be layers of making sure that the outcome and the delivery is okay, right? I mean, on the short term, it's obviously working with these AI tools, these AI applications, platforms, understanding how they work and what is the outcome that you're getting, and really making sure that the outcome that you were expecting is the same that you're getting. And then whether it is correct or not, just making sure that there is an interaction and there is a learning process, because AI is about learning. So if you don't work with AI and you don't have AI to improve, the outcome is never going to be the one you're expecting, right? Because since day one, AI is not going to be perfect. It will evolve and it will adapt to you and to your processes and to your business as you work with it. And then at the end, it depends on the model, it depends on your processes, it depends on a lot of different factors. You will get what you are expecting. And probably you will be in that 95, 98 percentage of accuracy because you have been working with AI. And then you will start to trust AI, and then you will start to trust your process to be more autonomous and independent.
Absolutely. Control gates are needed, whether it's an intern or a junior position, or if it's AI as well, no? And that brings us to our next topic, which is people, no? The future CFO. It's not just a data leader, he's also a people leader. So Adam, what cultural or mindset shift have you observed in finance teams that actually successfully adopt automation and AI?
Well, I think it's we touched a little bit on that topic before, but it's about this change of mindset on that, how technology enables to do something, whatever process it is, more efficiently, to streamline it, and to have a more productive team, right? This change of mindset is key. So to understand first where we are and what we need, and then implementing the right technology, whether it's AI or whether it's another thing, to achieve what we want to achieve, right? So this is the first thing. So making sure that we are just not implementing AI for the sake of implementing AI, so that we really know why we are doing it. And then the other one, I think, is really related to the topic we were discussing before. It's about the trust and understanding that AI will definitely be useful for you if you work with AI. You understand how AI works, you have AI to improve, and then you eventually align expectations and you get where you wanna be, right? And you get the delivery and the outcome that you are expecting. Because I think nowadays there's a little bit of higher expectations that AI will do everything, and because also you go to ChatGPT and ChatGPT would know everything, right? But actually, it is not like that. It has been trained, and every time you interact with it, you help ChatGPT to improve. So with other tools, you have to do the same. So if you really want this to work, you have to work with AI to make sure that you get the right process, the right implementation in place.
Yeah, I guess if you look a little broader at culture in companies, I think you can distinguish two kind of people in the world generally. Like there are people that are optimistic about AI. They see the opportunity. They're excited. I think in terms of culture, those are not the toughest ones. You might want to slow them down a little. And then there is the other category who see this more as a threat. They're scared of the AI. They might take over my job. And then every company will have both kind of profiles, and of course there's someone in the middle who's more balanced. But I think most people fit in either or they're either excited or they're worried about it. I guess it's important as a leader, as a CFO, as a finance leader, to address both areas. Talk about how you're going to do this in a balanced way and careful way, but then again also educate the people on AI, what it can do, how it can empower them in their role, like bit by bit, try to get them from, like, let's say, pessimist to an optimist. And you can also do that through hiring, of course. If you hire new people, I think finance departments will change. We'll have more data engineers, more AI, brilliant prompters who can do great things. That is probably a good profile to look for if you're hiring. So I think I would really take the cultural part very serious. And you cannot do this if your team resists. So you really want to get everyone on board with any kind of AI plans that you have.
And how
Yeah,
important it is.
Yeah, so just to add, I think it's the culture aspect is key, and it's very important that financial leaders, CFOs, embrace it, and they empower people to learn, to get courses, trainings, understand it, work with it, and maybe even do these kind of hackathons Wouter was suggesting, right? So because you can get normal people, right, that they are not engineers, to do extraordinary things with AI. And when you get these extraordinary results, people actually believe in it, and then they are empowered to say, wow, this is actually making me exceptional, right? Because I can really be 100%, 200% better, right? You as a leader, you have to work with them to help them see this new path or this new technology and how to leverage it.
Absolutely, how important it is that your leader is inspirational, no? So now we're talking about inspiration and the future. No, we are unfortunately coming close to the end. I would suggest also the people in the audience, if you have any questions, this would be a great time to start putting in the chat. And I'm going to ask the last question of the session. And so looking ahead, no, what is the next big leap for finance functions when it comes to AI? When you're dreaming, you both know so much about AI. So when you dream of future AI functionalities? What comes to mind?
I guess it depends a little on the time frame, but let's take a 5 to 10 year time frame. I believe like a semi-autonomous finance function where at least um, all the core functions. I'm not talking about human decision making and human, intuition and those kind of things. AI won't take that over, but actually everything that's non-value add will be done by AI. I think we're, within 5 to 10 years, we're going to see that. So we'll see smaller finance departments. Of course, the question is, it's a whole different discussion, but how are we going to train the future CFO? If there's no more junior finance people. But that's another way, that's another topic we'll need to fix. But I believe the autonomous finance function is going to be a real thing in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, for me, I agree with Other here. But how I see it is more like I can see the CFO just being a leader and not just a number cruncher, obviously, and not just a reporting person. And how I think of it is not even having to have an interface as it is anymore, right? So more like CFO getting by the end of the month, like, hey, Marcia, it's end of the month. What do you want to see? You want to see your financial statement? You want to see your cash flow statement? You want to see your P&L? What do you want to see? You want me to prepare a board presentation? It's more like assistant, if you like, right? No, I'm good. Send it to me tomorrow to my email. This kind of interaction. That's how I see it in the future, right? And then in the background, there's all this software AI working for you, automating bit by bit with different solutions.
That
Yeah, I
is
guess
definitely.
one
Sorry,
last
you
thing
go
not
ahead.
to comment on Adam's point, like this is exactly how I see it as well. See a future CFO might just interact with some, well, it doesn't have to be a chatbot where you have to type, but some AI and will just give instructions or receive things, but it will also handle, like, it will still use the human for exceptions. So it's like, hey, I was able to run your month-end close, but we run into these 2, 3 problems, and what would you like me to do about it? I think that's kind of, as an addition to Adam's scenario, what I expect AI to do is to still loop in humans for anything that is not within its confidence level of 99% accuracy or something like that.
Agree. Yeah.
That is definitely something worth dreaming for. So I have a few really interesting questions from the audience. The first one is CFOs who have already started implementing AI in financial planning and analysis or month-end close. What is the return of the investment metrics and leading indicators that are proving the most reliable to track value creation?
Wow, that's a great question. If I can just kick off, I'd love to hear what
Go on.
Adam thinks. But I guess there's really two things to the outcome. Is you can save time, which is an important one. So if you can do things just with less people or with less hours, but then there's of course the quality of the outcome. So the person asked like two different examples of like an FP&A process or a month-end close. Within a month-end close, there's basically, it has to be right. So that's a really good metric. Is the month-end close right? And did you spend less time on it? In terms of FP&A, you get into a new dimension, which could be better decision making, which is hard to put in a metric. I was able to take a better decision, but you'll be able to see that. Like all of a sudden we got a much richer way of forecasting or better ways of understanding what decisions to make. And I think in FP&A it will be less time, but there's still going to be time spent, but really that increased the decision making power.
Yeah, I think in FP&A, it's more about on your specific scenario, how you want to measure success. and what would be the leading indicators for you. But in the month end, it's super clear, right? So how fast can you do it? Were there edge cases, errors, and yeah. So I think it's time, errors, and making sure that it's accurate.
Absolutely. So I have another one. I think you have covered it a little bit already on the session, but I will still do it in case you want to add something additional. So if a CFO has a limited budget, where should they invest first? Is it data? Is it infrastructure? Is it automation?
You want to take this one first?
I think it depends what we consider limited budget, because there are AI tools out there that are fairly cheap. So it depends what you consider a limited budget. But in terms of infrastructure, I don't think that this is important at this point in time, as everything is cloud, unless you want to run your own models, which is probably very expensive. So I think starting in automation and automating these quick wins, maybe not the biggest pains, but the painful enough processes that you can automate, and that will get you to a quick win. This should be your first investment. Obviously, always thinking about what we consider limited budget, right? But this should be your first go-to automation and a specific processes or specific parts of the process that you feel that you will get a quick return.
Yeah, I think your point about what's a limited budget, that's a good one. If you have like a really limited budget and you don't want to like invest into like straight out, enterprise AI tools, actually the if you look at what AI costs per token, I think it's fairly cheap. You can get a huge output for $20 a month or something like that. Like if you look at the three major AI vendors, or well, there are more, but like Gemini, ChatGPT, and then Anthropic, Claude. I would recommend finance departments to just get an enterprise subscription on Anthropic Claude. It has the best tools for finance. You can build in skills to do repetitive tasks. You can let it build Excel models for you. Like not so much of like, hey, give me an answer and this is going to be your Excel model, but it's actually able to build something auditable, traceable. It can add formulas. And this is really a good place to start. It will allow you for, maybe for your whole team, a couple $100 a month to experiment with AI and try things. And then later on, you can look for more integrated solutions that do like a whole process for you. And they don't have to be expensive as well. I see a lot of AI tools in the market for smaller businesses that are really powerful and not so expensive.
So, Wouter, Adam, thank you both so much. It has been really interesting. I'm hoping that you can now see both of their LinkedIn accounts. You can follow them in case you want to follow their careers and the posts that they share, their insights. I think from the results from the summary of the session, it is very clear that AI and automation is not replacing anyone. They're just a really important tool for empowerment. And for those who want to explore how Dost can streamline also your financial processes and unlock visibility across your teams, you can also contact us at dost.io. Sorry, that was a bit of a mouthful. Thank you so much for joining the session. It has been a pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you, Marcia, and thank you, Wouter, and thank you all the attendees. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, guys.